The Hidden Books of the Ethiopian Bible, Secrets of the Forbidden Scriptures. Have you ever considered that the Bible you know might be missing something? What if ancient books, filled with stories of angels, giants, hidden prophecies, and supernatural battles, were once part of the biblical tradition but were removed, silenced, and forgotten by the West? And what if one ancient Christian nation chose to preserve them? That nation is Ethiopia, and its Bible is unlike any other. A Bible with 88 books. Most Christians are familiar with the 66-book Bible, 39 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New. But the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible contains a staggering 88 books, 22 more than what most Christians have ever read. These are not minor additions or footnotes. These are entire sacred books, revered for centuries by the early church and the ancient Jewish community. Books that were part of spiritual life before being removed by Western councils seeking theological uniformity. Ethiopia, however, never let them go. Why Ethiopia? Was different Christianity reached Ethiopia through the Apostle Philip, who baptized an Ethiopian court official on the road to Gaza. This was before Paul ever reached Rome. By the 4th century, Ethiopia became one of the first nations to officially embrace Christianity. But it didn't just adopt the faith, it preserved its original depth. Ethiopian Christians held tightly to their ancient traditions, their sacred calendar, and a wider canon of Scripture. While the Roman Church trimmed the Bible through a series of councils, like those at Hippo, Carthage, and Trent, Ethiopia maintained the fullness of early sacred texts. And among these texts are some of the most mysterious, powerful, and controversial writings in biblical history. The Book of Enoch. The Lost Prophecies. Perhaps the most famous of the lost books is the Book of Enoch. It begins with a shocking revelation. 200 angels, known as the Watchers, descend from heaven and break God's law by taking human wives. From these forbidden unions come the Nephilim, giants of incredible power who corrupt the earth. The Watchers teach forbidden knowledge, sorcery, astrology, enchantments, metalworking, and cosmetics. Civilization advances rapidly, but so does sin and violence. Enoch, a righteous man and the great-grandfather of Noah, is taken into heaven. There he witnesses divine courts, angelic hierarchies, and terrifying judgments against the Watchers. He is shown visions of the coming flood, the day of judgment, and the arrival of a Messiah who will conquer evil and reign forever. Early Christians, including the author of the Book of Jude, quoted Enoch as scripture. But by the 4th century, the book was banned in the West. Its vivid depictions of angels, demons, and prophecy clashed with the church's desire for a controlled, clean theology. Yet in Ethiopia, the Book of Enoch remains part of the canon to this day. Jubilees, a cosmic calendar. The Book of Jubilees retells the stories of Genesis and Exodus, but adds a cosmic twist. History is divided into jubilees, periods of 49 years. Angels deliver God's instructions to humanity before Moses even arrives on the scene. The book claims that the Sabbath, circumcision, and feast days were all established at creation, not Sinai. In Jubilees, Adam receives divine instruction. Noah is warned about future generations. Abraham's covenant is rooted in a cosmic order, not just tribal custom. This reinforces the idea that God's law is not just for the Jews, but part of the eternal structure of creation itself. The book also insists on a solar calendar, in contrast to the lunar one adopted by post-exilic Judaism. This calendar remains in use in the Ethiopian Church today. Western Christianity found these teachings too rigid, too Jewish, and too mysterious. Jubilees was cut from the canon, but preserved in full by Ethiopia. All the 3 books of Maccabees, stories of resistance in the West, the books of Maccabees are either removed or relegated to the Apocrypha, but Ethiopia retains 3 full volumes. These books tell the story of Jewish rebellion under the Greek Seleucid Empire. Under King Antiochus Epiphanes, Jews were forced to eat pork, desecrate the Sabbath, and bow to idols, or die. Many chose death. In one harrowing account, a mother watches her 7 sons tortured and killed, each one refusing to abandon their faith. The final son speaks, "You may take my life, but I will rise again. God will reward the faithful." Another tale in 3rd Maccabees describes 70,000 Jews gathered to be trampled by war elephants. But after 3 days of prayer and fasting, the animals miraculously turn on the soldiers. These stories are not just history, they are spiritual fire. They show that faith can resist kings, that prayer can conquer armies, and that martyrdom is not the end, but a doorway to glory. The Ascension of Isaiah. A journey through heaven. In this powerful text, the prophet Isaiah is taken up through the 7 levels of heaven. He sees angelic beings beyond imagination. He witnesses the fall of Lucifer and the preparations for the incarnation of Christ. The vision is intimate. Isaiah sees Jesus leave heaven, descend to earth, suffer in the flesh, and rise again, triumphing over death and returning in glory. It's a cosmic gospel filled with mystery, beauty, and majesty. Early Christians cherished this book, but the church eventually pushed it aside. It was too mystical, too bold. But in Ethiopia, the Ascension of Isaiah is still read and honored. Baruch and the letter of Jeremiah, warnings to a broken world. Baruch, the scribe of Jeremiah, writes after the fall of Jerusalem. His message is clear: return to the Lord, and he will restore you. In the letter of Jeremiah, idols are exposed for what they are: lifeless statues made by human hands. They cannot speak, they cannot save. The people are urged to abandon superstition and false gods and cling instead to the one true Creator. These texts, though suppressed in the West, continue to offer profound wisdom and truth to those willing to listen. Why were these books removed? The answer isn't purely theological. These books were removed because they were dangerous, not because they were false. They encouraged direct encounters with the divine. They warned of corrupt rulers. They challenged empire. They offered deeper spiritual truths than Rome was ready to allow. At the Council of Nicaea, church leaders began formalizing a restricted canon. By the Council of Trent in the 16th century, Protestant reformers rejected even more books. But Ethiopia? Ethiopia never bowed. Isolated from Western influence, the Ethiopian church preserved what others discarded. Why it matters. Now, we live in an age of confusion. Spiritual battles rage around us, in culture, in politics, in the unseen world. People are searching for truth, meaning, identity, and hope. The hidden books of the Ethiopian Bible offer just that. They remind us that angels and demons are real, that the struggle between good and evil is not symbolic, but literal, that God is active in history, judging, redeeming, and restoring, and that faith is not passive, it is fierce, unshakable, and eternal. A final invitation. What if we've lost something essential? What if we've silenced voices God meant for us to hear? Maybe the time has come to recover the scriptures that were never meant to be forgotten. to revisit the books that tell of a God who speaks through fire, through dreams, through warriors and prophets, through mothers and martyrs. This is not just history. This is your spiritual inheritance, the story of resistance, of revelation, and of redemption. Don't let it stay buried. Rediscover the lost books. Reignite your faith. And remember, you were never meant to read a limited gospel. You were meant to see the full picture. The truth is waiting. Are you ready?